What's up, guys? ℍ𝕬𝔽 Valley Transparency. I'm here with
Rights Crispy.
Rights Crispy. He has a YouTube channel. He's over 100,000 subscribers. Make sure you guys go check him out. I don't like to give myself a label of what it is that I do. Obviously, we started recording police and holding them accountable, got involved in this First Amendment auditing community, cop watching and stuff like that. And we've kind of, our channels have grown. And me and Rights Crispy, we kind of became friends when I when I first started, and he started supporting my channel, and I gotta say, right now we're both hanging out in Colorado. If you guys could look at the background, it's beautiful, and who would have thought that the First Amendment auditing community would have brought us together? I never expected 100 subscribers, and I never expected to make friends outside of my hometown and stuff like that, and this is from sea to shining sea coming to fruition, folks. Rights Crispy lives in Florida. I live in California, and we're meeting up in Colorado. And we just have so much to talk about. He's a great guy. My family is here with his family hanging out, and it's an amazing time. I actually got to go visit him in Florida. What a great host! And shout out to his wife as well, who planned the whole itinerary and did an amazing job with that. And just like when I went to Florida, I knew that I wanted to travel again with this guy right here because he's an amazing dude.
This is the fourth time we hang out together, right?
Is it?
The first time was when we drove cross country with our families, and you and I took our families to the Sequoia National Forest on Father's Day. Yesterday, we took our families to the Rocky Mountain National Park on Mother's Day. And in between, you came to Florida, and then I went out to California one time. So this is the fourth time we meet up.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm proud to have you as a friend, brother.
Thank you, bro. When I first
And
met,
colleague.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, true. When I first met Rights Crispy, I felt like I had already known him for years. When he walked up, I was like, "Damn, you're tall." And I just gave him a bear hug, and I was like, "Man, bro, I feel like I've known you forever." And same thing, he felt like he's known me for a long time. But yeah, we're gonna try to get some footage out here. We drove around yesterday. We didn't see no cops at all. So maybe I don't know if we get a chance today to maybe do maybe at least one First Amendment audit. Try to get some footage in while we're out here. I know this is family vacation time and stuff, but I think it's
Get some work in.
definitely want to get some work in and stuff like that. But
Aurora, Colorado, we're coming for you. And we're going to meet up with Liberty Freak. He says he's going to meet us up in Colorado Springs. If you guys don't know who Liberty Freak is, he's the right-hand man of Eric Brandt. And if you don't know who Eric Brandt is, that guy has been an activist for a long time, and he's spending 12 years in prison, right? He was about to get out May 1st, but unfortunately, some phone call that he made in 2019 resurfaced from Louisiana. So they extradited him from Colorado, where he was here in a nice resort type of jail where they have a fence just to keep the deer out. Now he's sitting in a parish county jail or parish jail in Louisiana that has horrible food. They just moved him to one that has a library. He's the only one there who uses the library, as usual. And yeah, he's going to await trial for that charge, and it's going to take about 18 months. So, they pretty much, like how he said, they shot me in the ass when I was retreating. He doesn't want to have anything to do. He's done enough, and he wants to just crawl under a rock and be forgotten, but they won't forget about him because it's okay if you threaten each other. If we threaten each other, it's okay if the government threatens us, but don't you dare threaten the government. And that's what he did, and they're burying him under the jail. So everybody who says, oh, you go out there and smashing your fingers against your phone telling us what to do, this shit ain't easy, man. It's we gotta suffer a lot of trauma doing this stuff, man. Not just what we do ourselves, but you watch videos from all over the world and you cover them. You're kind of like a talent scout for auditors and citizen journalists. And seeing all those interactions weighs on you. It takes a toll. So just like when you break an arm, you put a cast on, you got to take care of your mind and come out here and enjoy some fresh mountain air and family time. So that's what we're doing.
yeah, no doubt. Shout out to Eric Brandt. I've been watching Eric Brandt for a long time, and shout out to Liberty Freak too, man. I know you've had Eric Brandt's back for forever, and I've heard nothing but good things about you as well, Liberty Freak, and can't wait to meet you, man. should be meeting you here
I hope
in
he
a day or
cooks
two.
for us. He's an excellent chef.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. So let me see what else. What else can we
We
talk
just
about?
went through Granby yesterday. It's been 20 years since Marvin Heemeyer built the Killdozer and retaliated against the city government, who was trying to keep him down and screwed him out of a contract that he had for sale for over $100,000. He built this Killdozer, this bulldozer with armor plates, and tore down City Hall. He ran over a couple of the businesses who were against him, his neighboring businesses and stuff. And the only person who was hurt in that was him. He checked out himself because he didn't want to get arrested. He got stuck in a hardware store he plowed down.
Yeah, I actually watched that documentary Killdozer a while back, and there's a guy who actually supports me on my channel. And he follows me on Instagram, and he was actually in that. I think there was a movie made about that as well, and he was actually in the movie. But yeah, when I watched that documentary, I couldn't help but wonder if this was just a disgruntled man talking about, things that don't belong to him. Did he believe that property belonged to him when it didn't, or did that property belong to him and the government was doing everything that it can to kind of take it away from him and stuff like that, and where it pushed him to to the max? And is that why he did what he did? If you guys have not seen the documentary Killdozer, definitely I recommend that, so you guys go watch it, so you guys could see what one man can do when the government pushes him too far. And I mean, yeah, we went by Granby yesterday. I was totally blown away. I was like, wow, this is the town that it happened in, huh?
Yeah, we're staying about 9 miles down the road from it in Fraser, in this really nice Airbnb that has a sauna in it. You enjoyed the sauna this morning? That's awesome.
I haven't sweat like that in a long time, guys. I hit the sauna today.
But yeah, June 4th, 2024, or 2004 is when it happened. So it's almost 20 years. And we rode through there. And I could tell you, when I came here in 2017, I was in the Rotary Club, and we visited that club. And I can see why he wanted to run over these people. They were not welcoming at all. Usually when you go to a Rotary Club, they're just, overexcited to have a visiting Rotarian come and change flags with them. It was kind of like forced for them. It was labored. Yeah. And they were very like condescending. So, when that guy had a contract for sale for his property, that is his property. He had a contract for sale. It's signed by the buyer, but then the government said, no, you know what? You guys don't need to do that. Here, you could have this property. And he gave away his stuff, man. So, that's what happens when the government pushes a man too much. All he did was weld, railings onto people's snowmobiles, and that was his thing. He worked at a muffler shop, and he did welding, and everybody had their snowmobile outrigged like he would do it. They would go to him to get it done. That was his life. He was comfortable and happy with that life, but then they just pushed him too far, and the government keeps on pushing. Look, in Florida now, we have this 25-foot rule. And you guys know I haven't put out a video in a long time, but I have gone out recording ever since I saw that implemented. It just motivated me to do it more. So the audacity of our representatives who we put in office to keep revisiting our rights as if they're the arbiters, as if they're the ones who grant them to us or take them away from us. No, that's not the way it works. We have those rights. Stop talking about it and just protect it. Don't try to take them away, and they're eroding. They're eroding our rights. We got to stop that.
I agree, and that's why our channels are important, folks, is because, when I first started, I didn't really know, the rights that I had and how important they were. And I just knew that I always felt like I had to comply if a cop asked me to do something, sit on the ground or whatnot. And I began to understand how important it was to record, document, ask questions, and hold them accountable. And one of the questions that I started asking was if these cops knew the First Amendment of the Constitution. And over again, I see cops tuck their tail and leave. They could not answer it. Either they didn't want to, or they just couldn't. They didn't know it. So I began to see the pattern of cops not knowing the First Amendment, and it made me realize the importance of it. How did we get this far where cops swear an oath to the Constitution and they actually don't know it? And we've gotten to the point where it's almost 99.9% of the cops out there, they can't answer that question. We need to change that, folks. We need to make sure that our kids are being taught what their natural rights are in schools, and the cops are being taught in the academies what our natural rights are, because they give them a gun and a badge with a few months training and they say, get out there and go babysit America. Do we really need, 23-year-olds, a bunch of 23-year-olds, 20-year-olds telling us to sit on the ground and stuff like that? Like, I get it. Their job could be a little bit stressful or whatnot. They sometimes have to deal with really shitty people. I understand that. But at the same time, not everybody's like that. You can't get callous to everyone and make believe in your mind that everybody's bad, because then you're the one that becomes bad as a cop. So I can't express how important it is I can't express enough how important it is for us to know our rights, to teach our kids. Like I say in many of my videos, freedom should be the topic on every dinner table every single night, especially in America, because this country is supposed to be a free country, right? So, yeah, we definitely need to know our rights. And I want to give a quick shout out to a channel called Reluctant Prophet in Arizona. He has a story as well. And it reminded me of the Killdozer story, not as intense, but they told him that he couldn't put up signs and stuff like that. So he put up a big old sign on his own, I think it was a forklift, like a giant forklift, and he put up a big old sign up there, basically saying "F you" to the sheriff and his government down there. He's got an amazing channel as well, Reluctant Prophet. Shout out to you, bro. You guys go check him out. I'll drop his link as well. You want to give anyone a shout out?
Well, yeah, everybody out in Florida, keeping up the good work, even though facing the adversity of these new tyrannical ordinances and laws that they're trying to put on us. But I also wanted you to talk about that profession versus practice point that you made yesterday. That was a really good point. And we keep on calling the cops the authority. When they're not an authority, they really don't know these laws. We know them more than they do. And they want to tell this guy with his forklift that he can't express his free speech. They don't know that that's allowed. Most of the time, it's the ignorance of the law. It's not just not knowing it. It's just ignoring it, not wanting to hear it. We're telling them in a calm, cordial voice what the law is, and they don't want to hear it. Their feelings and their egos kick in, and people need to move past that, man. Learn and grow, humble yourself, especially if you're a public servant. And we're not just talking about cops. We're talking about the government, the people who give the cops orders.
Right. I definitely cringe when I hear Penguin Zero or mainstream news, local news, calling the cops the authorities, referring to them as the authorities. I mean, they could be your authority all you want, but don't make people believe that they are the authorities of everyone, right? Who are they the authorities of? You know what I mean? Me? Absolutely not. I don't need a master telling me what I can and cannot do. As long as I'm not breaking the law, they aren't authorities of me. So, these are terminology, terms, words, sayings that we've been, programmed to think a certain way, and we keep seeing it. And because of our channels, because of the work that we do, we begin to see the patterns, and we begin to understand exactly how we got to where we're at. We got a lot of problems where some of us are Democrats, some of us are Republican, liberal, conservative, red, blue, all of that stuff. And we're sitting there pointing the finger at each other, mad at each other, thinking that the other side is the problem. And in reality, the problem is not, each other. Sure, there's a lot of shit about each other that we don't like. But, when we stop pointing the fingers at each other, we start pointing the fingers at government and all the new ordinances and the new things that they're trying to, push on us. Like, for instance, the 25-foot rule in Florida. Obviously, somebody's going to have to take the arrest, challenge it, probably lose, take it to the Supreme Court, and show how unconstitutional this new rule is. And another thing too that he said he'd like me to mention and talk about is I've been kind of noticing something recently. I've noticed this a long time ago, and I understood this a long time ago. I learned this one in college. But the whole profession versus practice. think about it, folks. Medicine is considered a practice. It's not considered a profession, right? But we call doctors professionals. Same thing with police and government and lawyers and law. It's considered a practice. Law is considered a practice, and but we're sitting here thinking of lawyers as professionals when they're not. They're just people. And right now we live in the age of information. How much longer are we going to need attorneys and lawyers? You know, it's about, and a lot of these attorneys and lawyers, they'd rather create YouTube channels and make money that way. And that's great. But I would like to see some of those channels actually really help out this community. Go out of their way to explain to us how we could fight these cases, these unlawful arrests. I've seen many auditors get arrested and don't know what to do, you know, because they can't afford an attorney. They don't know how to fight their case. And, you know, here we are as a community of people trying to understand what's happening. We're not lawyers. Most of us are not lawyers. Most of us are not, you know, doctors. We don't know a lot of these things, and we're trying to figure it out. So we could definitely use some help. You know,
Yes.
we can definitely use some guidance, you know, point us in the right direction. You know, when you hire an attorney, they're going to go through case laws to try to find something that will help you in your case. And do we really need attorneys for that, or can we actually help each other doing that? Like I said, we live in the age of information, and the information that we've been fed for many years has been coming from mainstream media news, mainstream television, and they have agendas. They have an agenda to make us think a certain way. And
the one's shaking the jar. If you know the analogy of red ants and black ants in a jar, they won't fight each other unless somebody shakes the jar. It's not us versus us. Them is shaking the jar, you know, and they're being told what to say to stimulate us and point us in a certain direction just so they can make a quick buck. You know, you get 10 cookies, another analogy. And they take 9 of your cookies, and then they tell you that guy over there is going to take your last cookie. You forgot about the guy who just took your 9 cookies, and you're just mad at this dude, you know?
man, I'm gonna use that, bro, in my videos from now on. I mean, hope you don't mind, but
Please.
that's pretty
Give me
smart,
credit
you know.
3 times, then it's yours.
The jar shaker, you know what I mean? The jar shaker is the government, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we are the ants, folks. We're the ants.
Yeah.
But you know, as ants, we can build mountains and we can move mountains,
Yep.
guys. You know,
Well,
if we stick together, if we work hard at this, right?
What we can do together. I just said this to somebody we met yesterday. He works in defense, and I told him, "Oh, you might not want to talk to us because we're on a list probably, and you'll lose your clearance." He didn't laugh. I was joking, but he was like, "Oh shit, you're right." And you know what? And I said to him, and this is something I read the other day. If you're not on a list at this point, you should be ashamed of yourself. Get on a list. Do something that the government doesn't like that is legal, of course, you know?
Right? Yeah.
Just stick it to the man. I got stick it to the maniosis. It's fatal.
I'm gonna use that as well if you don't mind. Now, guys, you know, what can I say? You know, I've come a long way, 7 years involved in this, and I've learned a lot. I probably began my channel kind of just being more angry than knowledgeable on stuff. Maybe I was frustrated. You know, I made a lot of videos that I'm not proud of and stuff like that, but I tried to learn, educate myself so that I don't come off as being just an anti-government, anti-police. You know, on the contrary, I'm not anti-police. I'm anti-bad police. And you know, you can't watch one episode of Cold Case Files where a family member or friend that misses their loved ones for many years, you know, they won't say something like, you know, the cops screwed up the investigation. You know, every episode, pretty much every episode, you'll see somebody saying that, or you'll hear somebody saying that. And it's, I mean, if you really think about it, cops in their practice, do they really have to go out of their way to solve crimes? I mean, we're seeing video after video after video, still to this day, of cops not doing their job correctly, arresting the caller,
Wrong person. Yeah.
arresting the wrong person, and sometimes shooting the wrong person. You know what I mean? It's like over and over again, every single day, a new video comes out on my channel, on someone else's channel that's sharing videos. Like, I was one of the first persons to highlight highlight videos of new channels, but there are many channels out there right now. And in reality, this is, maybe it takes views away from my channel, stuff like that, but that's okay. I never wanted to be like the biggest channel or the one that gets the most views. As long as we're helping this community grow, as long as we're inspiring people to pick up a camera and hold government accountable, that's a win-win for not just for me, but for the people. I want to see more people knowing their rights and understanding their natural rights and holding government accountable. And this First Amendment auditing community, I would say, started in the United States, but auditing has spread far and wide, folks. I'm talking about from sea to shining sea, across the pond with our friends in the UK.
Down under in Australia, too.
Yeah, down under in Australia, in Canada. Auditing channels are popping up everywhere. Like I like to say, like the gremlins, right? I love the gremlins.
Yeah.
And we multiply like the gremlins, folks. But yeah, man,
I gotta say also, you were talking about that sheriff in Arizona. This election cycle, think about who you're gonna vote for sheriff. Last one, over 60% of the sheriffs went unopposed. There's a video that I'm going to put out. It's a follow-up for the J-Town Press. She went to try to make a complaint to this sheriff, and his condescending attitude to her was horrible enough for me and Rogue Nation to go do a follow-up. And he had that same attitude with us, but we let him have it. We let him know that if you violate one person's rights, you're talking to everybody who's holding this camera, or who's not just the person holding the camera, who's watching this video. So you violate one person's right, you're going to have a couple more people show up to challenge you. And his name's Brad Whitehead, the son of the last sheriff, Jeff Whitehead, and grandson of the sheriff before him. So that's a three-generational legacy of jackbooted skinheads.
that sounds like nepotism, doesn't it?
Yeah, little nepotiz. And you can't just think, oh, yeah, he's the son. He must know how to keep things in order. Man, these people have been doing it wrong for so long. It's time for change. Make the right choice. I think James McClinnis is running for sheriff again in Pinellas County. That guy is a constitutional man. James McClinnis, if you live in Pinellas County, he got a good part of the vote last time. He didn't make it, but he was robbed. We covered that on our channel. We went down to the supervisor of elections where all the sheriff's deputies were bringing in the ballots themselves. The numbers didn't change from Tuesday night to Friday morning. Everything was the same. I think that was rigged. The first night in the primary election, I went out there and there were about 8 cops. The general election, when James went out there and got trespassed by going to the same place as I went to, there were a whole bunch of new signs, no trespassing stuff that they would put, like the state statute for trespassing on a private business. But they did this at the supervisor of elections office. There's even a media observation room where he was. All he asked was, is the sheriff in the building? That triggered them enough to get him trespassed. There were 80-something cops there that night. 80-something Pinellas County Sheriff's deputy at the supervisor of elections. If that doesn't tell you, do you have 80 cops patrolling your neighborhood, let alone at your supervisor of elections office, where your free voice is supposed to be heard? It's not. So keep an eye on them. Make sure that your election isn't as rigged as ours was, and do your best to do your research, and don't just listen to somebody's rhetoric and think, oh yeah, I like what he says, and vote for him. Do your research and find out if that guy is a dog fucker or not. You know what I mean? You don't want that little surprise to show up. Because that stuff happens. People are very charismatic and everything, and then they've got P. Diddy skeletons in their closets. So
Yeah, definitely shout out to James McClinnis. His name was brought up in a conversation at my house a little while back, and my wife actually reminded me that I had worked on one of his videos a while back when he did something brilliant. Like he carved out vote for James McClinnis, and like a sheet
Yeah, it
metal
was
thing.
like a cutting board
Yeah,
material, like
and
plastic.
he was cleaning the sidewalks, just that area that where it said vote for James McClinnis,
Yeah, it
and I
was a
thought it was
cleanup
brilliant because
campaign.
it's clean. It's like it's not tagging, it's not doing anything, but you can read it because it was just a certain part of the sidewalk that was cleaned.
Yeah, he made a stencil and then
Yeah,
pressure washed
yeah,
onto
that
dirty
was
sidewalks.
absolutely brilliant. But the very next day, if I'm not mistaken, the city decided to go out and clean the sidewalks to
Just
erase his name.
just to erase his name. They didn't clean the whole sidewalk, and that's actually against Florida election
That's
code.
dirty, right?
They removed his signs. They left all the other signs there, and that's another thing. Once the election is over, all those signs need to be cleaned up, need to be taken, and that's litter, that's garbage. With James's, that's super clean, 100% clean. He's just cleaning dirt away to leave his sign there. And the very next day, they didn't just clean the sidewalk. At one point, they tried to paint over it, and they realized that was stupid. And then they went to cleaning the sidewalks. But we went back out, and John Felix, shout out to John Felix, he went back out there, and the Watchman was out there religiously spraying the signs everywhere. So
Yeah. Definitely shout out to James McClinnis and everybody out there who appreciates the First Amendment auditing community, not just the auditing community, but who appreciates the Constitution. We need to see more constitutional sheriffs out there. We need to see more folks who are running for office to truly believe in the people's natural rights. Shout out to Jersey Watcher, Crystal McCropolis out in New.
starts his trial today.
Yeah, he does. He starts his trial today, but he also ran for mayor. He did lose. He got more votes than expected, right? But shout out to everybody out there who is running for some kind of seat, some kind of office. Those of you guys who have been supporters of ours, that's what we want to see more of. And I know there's a couple channels out there that I'm probably forgetting who I know have ran for a certain seat or something like that, and I apologize if I forget you guys, your channel name, whatever. Maybe I'll drop it in the link or the description later if I remember. And if you guys in the comment section know about any of these guys who are running for chief of police, sheriff, mayor, city attorney, city manager, these, positions, let me know in the comment section so we can shout them out and help them grow and stuff like that.
My friend sent me this, and it says profession, but we know it's a practice. It's pretty crazy how there's an entire practice. We have to wear body cameras because they lie so much.
That's
Think
true.
about that.
That's true. It's
And then some of them refuse it. Like Polk County, if you're watching this anywhere in the country, you already know Sheriff Grady Judd. He likes to do his press conferences, and he's beloved all over the country. But that guy, his deputies are proud of the fact that they don't have body cams. That guy is just giving you lip service on the lamestream media. What he does, saying that he's capturing all these child predators and all these horrible crimes against children and everything. In 2019, my first records request that I did was I was trying to follow up what happened to these guys. There were, out of the hundreds of people they arrested that year, there was one lousy conviction. That goes to show you that it's not just the cops. There are lawyers and judges working in antitrust.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that. Yeah, man. So
Something fishy. Somebody's getting their wheels greased out there, and they don't want cameras. So, and if you do record them out there in Polk County, and you record them, beating up a guy or something like that, you better not post that because they're gonna come to your house and raid it and arrest you for some other thing like they did to that one guy in 2020, right before the protests/riots started in 2020. That's what happened in Polk County. Look that up. They just retaliated against somebody who recorded them, brutalizing somebody they were arresting. So,
and I think that's why cops are allowed to do certain things, get away with doing bad things. One of the reasons why I believe that happens is because even bad cops can do a good job sometimes. And that leaves people to, and I hate to say this, but to become bootlickers. I was talking to another channel recently, and we were talking about our work and what we do, and the change that we're creating. Will we create real change, stuff like that? And one of the things that we were talking about too is these fraud or troll channels. And one of the things that I told this guy was stop focusing, stop mentioning them in your videos, stop talking about them. You know, let them do their thing, let them talk crap. But the more you mention their channels on our channels, you when we have 1,000 people watching, 10,000 people watching our videos, 100,000 people watching our videos, you're gonna get a handful of haters, right? And when you mention the troll channels,
You're validating them.
you're giving them a place to go, to hang out, to marinate.
Yeah.
And now they've grown a community, anti-auditing community, right? They call us lens lickers now because they're tired of licking boots, and they've been exposed for being boot lickers. So now they're calling auditors lens lickers. Now, are some of those channels necessary? Possibly.
Yeah.
And I think that auditors as well do some stupid stuff out there. For instance, recording not police, but people while they're eating, you know, and just trying to stir up stuff. And, you know, if it was me recording a store where a guy was selling socks, I'd be like, wow, bro, are your socks any good? Are they comfortable? Should I buy a pair? Do you want to talk about your socks on my YouTube channel? Let's make this a great video for you and for me, right?
So you wouldn't pull your mace out of your purse and spray him?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be out there trying to start confrontation or conflicts with just regular people, because First Amendment auditing, from my understanding, wasn't here to piss people off. It was to hold government accountable, you know. And I think the more people we piss off along the way, I think if it ever comes down to it and there's a vote, they're going to vote against it, against the First Amendment.
Yeah. And we've got to change our vocabulary. Like I said, I stopped saying bootlickers and copsuckers because I've come to the understanding that they're brainwashed. They're helpless against all the media, every Marky Mark movie and TV show and Blue Bloods show that is bombarding you with these guys are the moral superiors against an evil mass of people. When the inverse is true, they have that propaganda on TV that has caused so many people. Like we were talking to that guy yesterday. He says, "Oh, but they have a difficult job." You know, there's a lot more dangerous jobs than that, and you know, there's about 15 that we could rattle off the top of our heads. But yeah, I understand they do have to deal with some shitty people, but it's because they're getting what they give. People are shitty to the cops because cops are shitty to the people. If you have a friendly police officer who does community policing, he's beloved in that community. And if I show up and I show that he's doing a good job, people will still go after me and say, "Hey, why are you recording him?" And I'll say, "Hey, I'm using him to set the example of how other agencies should behave." I'd like to show the stars shining. If you are doing community policing and you're actually fighting crime, not just giving speeding tickets and generating revenue, if you're actually, you know, finding those trafficking places and you know, finding the person who actually burglarized a house, stuff like that, that needs to happen. You can't just have anarchy where we all, you know, stack up outside of a woman's door when she's being held hostage by her boyfriend. I'm not going to do a dynamic entry into that house. I want the SWAT team to do that. And speaking of which, we should have SWAT teams again. Not everybody wearing SWAT gear and militarizing our police. We need to demilitarize our police force. Keep SWAT as up to date with weapons and equipment as possible, but only in extreme situations where it's absolutely necessary.
Right. You know, I hear cops always talking about officer safety, yada, yada, yada. But if cops are so scared, then why do they pick on the people? Why do they pull you over like, let's say, a brake light being out? They pull you over or window tint. And then they're going to be afraid of you, walking up with their hand on their gun. It's like, if you're really that afraid, why did you even take the job, man? Like, there's way more dangerous jobs than becoming a police officer. If you're a cop and your partner or somebody that you're working with is a bad cop, why are you going to let that bad cop lead? You know, shouldn't you step forward and lead by example and be professional and be respectful, drop your ego and just let the people be? You know, if they're not breaking the law, leave them alone. over and over and over. We see people parked at a parking lot eating Taco Bell, and the cops are over there harassing them. We see people. Recently, I showed a video, and I'm gonna do an update video to this as well, where a guy, a business owner, he owned like a video game store, and it was late at night. He closed at 10 or something like that, and he was walking to A&PM to get himself something to eat because he had a long day. He left his business, and he left the back door open, and he went to go grab something to eat. And when he came back, or when he was walking, the cops, they drove up to him, and they got out, and they started, harassing him. And he didn't want to identify, so they arrested the guy. They eventually dropped his charges, but because of that arrest, the dude lost his business. People were not going over to, buy video games no more, whether the parents didn't let their kids buy him no more or whatnot. We lost his business. His life has pretty much been turned upside down, all because a cop was fiending, power tripping over an identification. And it's just...
They've been trained to do that. By the bunch has been spoiled. The supervisors are training new officers how to just pull anybody over for tints, run them. If they have warrants, then you could take them to jail. That even though their tints were fine. That's why I can understand why the Back to Blue crowd thinks that there are good cops out there. Good men who become cops are being told to do a bad job. Like that, like pulling somebody over for their tints. I had a friend tell me, oh, and he pulled me over for my tints, and I told him, oh, and I work in the sun, so I need to do this, and I showed him my medical thing, and he let me go, man. He was cool. You think that cop was cool because he let you go? He pulled you over in the first place for nothing, just to check to see if you were a criminal. If you're a cop and you want to run somebody's ID, do it fair and square. Don't stop people, innocent people, and insult them by insinuating that they're criminals. Every time that a cop asks you for ID, that's an insult. You should take it as such and let them know, do you suspect me of a crime? Do you think I'm a criminal? If so, what is it?
Yeah, I believe cops should not be able to demand identification under coercion. They do it all the time, and cops are being briefed every day before they get out on the street to run as many people through the ringer as possible to try to get as many criminals off the streets, right, as you can. And it's just, and that's their mentality. And, another mentality, that, people have is just comply. I hear Jessie Lee Peterson, and I'm willing to debate you, Jessie Lee Peterson, on police, all right? Straight up, let's talk. You guys go reach out to Jessie Lee Peterson, let's talk, because that guy does not just lick boots. He has the damn boots stuck down his throat.
He's a slut.
And
that's what he calls women at women's parties.
He has a shirt that says slut maker. That shit's pretty funny though. But really though, reason we have bootlickers, this is one of the things I was talking to my friend about, who has a big channel, is, not only are you kind of helping the troll channels grow, but the fuck, I got a brain freeze.
The bootlicker channels.
Oh, yeah. So the reason why we still have bootlickers out there, and this is something that maybe he didn't understand, and I think I kind of understood this because I did grow up in a nice neighborhood, but I did spend a lot of time in the ghetto where I grew up, hanging out with the homies, chilling, drinking beer, doing some beer runs, stupid shit that I used to do as a kid, right? So, but at the same time, there was times where I would work and I would see cops trying to harass me or whatever. And reason we still have the community of bootlickers or whatnot, or, I know Rice Crispy doesn't like to use that word anymore. I still kind of do.
I liked it. I'm just changing my vocabulary.
Right. But the reason we still have that, let's just say cop supporters, right? We still have Back to Blue crowd, right? Yeah. I believe we still have that because, I know a lot of people talk about white privilege and stuff like that, but I don't like to look at it like that. I like to look at it in terms of just privilege, privileged areas, privileged neighborhoods. Like, I live in a pretty nice neighborhood now, and I think about it. And this is one of the things I was telling my friend I was talking to, I was like, if I go knock on the door on all of my neighbors right here and in this community, and I'll ask them, when was the last time you were pulled over or got a ticket? Many, in that neighborhood, in my neighborhood, they're gonna say like, "Oh, it's been a year. It's been 15 years. I've never gotten a ticket." But if you go into the hood and you go knock on the on everyone's door and you ask them the same thing, "Oh, I got a ticket last week, just yesterday. I got a ticket 5 minutes ago." And so police go to these areas and they're looking for every single little thing: a crack in a windshield, you didn't use your signal light, you didn't use your signal light fast enough.
For those who know, excuse me, that's called broken windows policing. And that's what I mean by good cops are being ordered to do a bad job. Go to this one neighborhood only. Like you went to the neighborhood where I grew up, and I love that you turned the tables on them. We showed up to this little coffee shop. Joaquin saw a cop smoking a cigarette. He says, "Is that in your policy? You should be not smoking in uniform." You're right. He flicked it on the floor, and a few minutes later, Joaquin said, "You're not supposed to be littering either," and he made him pick it up. You've got a lot of heat from that. People saying, "Oh, just let him smoke." But check this out. A few decades earlier, when I was trying to convince some Latin kings to go to college with me, some of them did, and one of them clept out of the math. He was a math genius. He decided to sit down on a park bench with his brothers in Latin King Park, which is Riverside Park, right across the street from that coffee shop where we were. And 22 of them got arrested and RICO acted 15 years in jail, just because one guy was on camera stealing somebody's sneakers. Now, my friend Umbi spent 15 years in jail because he had a promising college career ahead of him, but just because he sat down in that neighborhood where the police are just roughing people up constantly every day. You go to the suburbs in Kendall, Miami, and kids are having pill parties with their parents' medicine, and people are ODing, and then that gets covered up, or you know how it goes. It's policing in a certain area. There's a problem with the system.
Yeah, and because of that, because there's certain areas that are privileged, like I was saying, privileged areas. Maybe it's the money. You could see in the neighborhood that I live in, cars are driving in California with window tint, no front license plate. You don't really see them getting pulled over unless you're an undesirable in that area and they just don't like you in the area. So they'll pull your ass over and start searching your vehicle and or whatnot. And the people from that area, they're like, "Hell yeah, get that undesirable out of here." All while driving with no front license plate and window tint, right, not getting pulled over. And that's why you still have that back to blue community, because what can I say? They're privileged. Cops don't harass them. Cops are not, doing this to them. There is that saying out there, back to blue till it happens to you. But some of those folks out there, man, they're 80 years old.
Nothing's going to happen to them.
80 years old, and the cops haven't ever messed with that guy. Maybe that guy lives a good life. Maybe he's not a criminal, right? But even if that guy ran a few stop signs, he never got pulled over.
Right.
And
I'll tell you, there's no coincidence that some of the most prominent communities have some of the most corrupt police. Like Florida, for example, Lee County, and that whole area, that's Carmine Marcino is the sheriff's name. Carmine Marcino is the sheriff's name there. And they also refuse to get body cams. That's like a wealthy neighborhood, and a lot of corruption goes on there, and a lot of cover-ups go on there. Right across the peninsula in Palm Beach, that's where Mar-a-Lago is and everything. All those cops are on the take. All those cops are looking out for their rich, taxpayers that live in that neighborhood. And those people will call on anybody. I want that man out of my sight. And the cops are like, "Yeah, go ahead, put me in, coach. I'll arrest him. Is that good?" And they're like, "Yeah," and that happens a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of misappropriation of funds going on out there. There's times where people are going to city council meetings and asking questions, and the city council members want to shut them down because they don't want to answer those questions. They don't want that out in public. We're coming to find out, and we're seeing that sometimes these city attorneys and the city managers, sometimes these are the most powerful people in a town, and they're the ones that control contracts. And do they get kickbacks at the end of the day? Or is there a monopoly on certain types of business? And that's supposed to be illegal. You know, but if that's what's going on in certain areas, which we've already seen, seems like that happened in Edison, New Jersey, which Christo has seemed to have uncovered. Where else is that happening? Is that happening in your town, folks? You know, I believe that little by little, even though there's a lot of bullshit, there's a lot of, I would say, maybe frauditors in this community. But there are also good channels out there that are doing outstanding work. I Am Free Inland Auditing. This is a public service. You know, Rogue Nation,
J-Town Press,
J-Town Press, you know, Georgia Transparency,
Liberty Troll.
Liberty Troll. Yeah, Liberty Troll's dope.
Yeah.
And there's just a whole bunch of channels out there that are doing outstanding work. Records requests, Freedom of Information Act requests, going to city council meetings.
It's not just holding the camera. It's actually doing the research and the follow-up. And that's key. You got to follow up.
Yeah, shout out to Harvey Freebird out there, and I think his name is James Followell or something like that. That he's been kind of highlighting, and there's a lot of folks out there that are doing outstanding work, true auditing, folks. And I believe we're taking it to the next level now. Like I said, we live in the age of information, and because of this auditing community, a lot of us have found each other. Me and Rice Crispy are here together, and
We got to show them this view.
yeah, definitely. And I gotta say, guys, it's been an outstanding trip, and it's been an outstanding journey since I started my journey in this auditing community. And I couldn't ask for anything more, anything less. You know, the friendships that I made along the way with people like, you know, Rice Crispy right here. It's amazing, guys, and all of you guys. And I gotta say, he has over 100,000 subscribers. I have over 500,000 subscribers. And you know what's crazy about that, folks, is you guys are not fans. You guys are supporters. How many other YouTubers are out there that can say that they have supporters? And
You watch Penguins. And
he's got fans.
Yeah, they watch him to hear what he says.
I'm a fan of Penguin Zero. I like that. He's funny.
You guys are supporters because if you see, I'll tell anybody when I tell them about my channel to subscribe and hit the bell notification to let them know when I go live. And I usually only go live if a stupid cop is about to arrest me. So I'll let you know where I am. Hey, I'm in Marion County. These sheriffs are acting stupid. So you, the supporter, can call flood that agency and get those bracelets off. Let them know that the world is watching them earn a lawsuit, that they need to stop violating our rights.
Apparently, though, they don't want us to say call flood because apparently we can get charged for tying up the phone lines if we say call flood. Oh, yeah? So, but I think what we can do is highlight the department, give names and badge numbers, you know, and put the phone numbers up there and let people know here's the information that you need if you want to redress your grievances with this government. And instead of saying call flood, because I think they could possibly charge us if people actually. And then we got trolls. If we say call flood, then we're gonna have trolls calling on purpose and cussing them out, making us look bad and trying to get us charged or whatnot.
They can charge the average American 3 felonies a day. There's a book called 3 Felonies a Day. And it's true. There's so many laws on the books that they don't enforce that they probably don't even know about because it's a practice and they're not well practiced in it. So they don't, you know, hit us with everything they can. I'm not trying to give them any ideas, but yeah, most of the stuff that we do every day, if you go to Georgia and you have an ice cream cone in your back pocket, that's illegal. It's so stupid. You can't have an ice cream on a Sunday. On a Sunday. And it goes back to...
Is that really a law?
That is really a stupid law. If you go to Ohio and you see a skunk on the road, you can't pick it up and churn glue out of it. Because, you fool, you can't churn glue out of a skunk in Ohio. It's against the law.
You can't...
Stupid, antiquated
stuff. Yeah, you can't touch turtles. There's a lot of laws out there, you know. Some laws I agree with, some laws I don't.
Most I don't.
Yeah, mostly you don't. You know, victimless crimes, you know, I think sometimes police are out there, you know, to enforce traffic infractions.
That's what I was going to say. For most of the Florida state statutes, about this much is actual crime. This much is traffic law. And that's what they know. And the cops don't know the law of when they're supposed to and when they're not supposed to ask for ID. They don't know that one, 901.151 in Florida. But they know the trespassing law. They know how to hem people up. They know how to circumvent laws to get somebody thrown in jail and keep that prison industrial complex going.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Well, you guys, I know we're getting close to an hour. I just wanted to, do this video and talk with my
Good
friend
talk.
here and fellow activist, Writes Crispy. Just a solid dude and an amazing activist as well. He's given me a lot of support along the way, and I truly appreciate you, bro. There's been, I'm not, I'm, how would I say this? I find myself defending myself against fellow auditors or people that try to put me down or whatnot, and this guy's always had my back, and sometimes I find myself arguing and fighting with people, and I think that takes a lot out of me. I think when I first started this community, I was really joyful. I was like very funny. I used to make the whole damn class laugh, dude. Like everyone in class. Like I didn't get to go to the Frito-Lay field trip with my class because I started a spitwad war in school. You know what I mean? Like I had everybody shooting spitwads. I had walls on classrooms full of spitwads. People were shooting them at each other. Me and this dude named OJ Rogers. OJ Rogers, if you ever see this, man, this is the funniest shit. Like he spit a spitwad in my mouth when I was laughing, and I was like, "Ha!" And then later on, I got him in his ear, and he was like, "Ah!" And so every time we would see each other throughout the years, he would look at me and go, "Ah!" And I would go, "Ah!" And this is how this is how we greeted each other for years, bro. It's hilarious. Like, I was a class clown, but I feel like as I kept going on doing this, I feel like some people took it as a competition or whatnot, and maybe have attacked me for a lot of wrong reasons. A lot of people, said like, "Oh, he doesn't audit anymore. He doesn't go out and record anymore. He just shares videos." But it wasn't.
People who share videos who never set foot on the field, and you got no problem with them. That's the problem that I've always had with people who have a problem with my friend here. It's like that double standard, just because the popularity contest that it goes in this. Real recognize real. That's why I love this dude, man.
Yeah, and I still get out there, guys. Not all my videos have to be a big old middle finger in the air. It's like talk to these cops or talk to the people and get to figure out what's going on in their mind and ask questions. That's how I was able to uncover the pattern of cops not knowing the First Amendment. It's just by asking them questions. Oh, David, San Joaquin looks like half a bootlicker. Man, people have thrown shade on me for all kinds of different reasons, and I'm not that nice, guys. I fight back. I cuss you guys out as well. But I mean well.
But on that point, when you're talking to a cop and you're having a cordial conversation and he's being cool and telling you, giving it a shot and naming the 5 protections of the First Amendment, that's not bootlicking. And he's only half talking to that cop. The other half is talking to you, the viewer, and the people who are the Back the Blue crowd. Like, look, what we're trying to do. We're trying to show how things can go smoothly. Let's have more of that. That's what I want.
Right. Yeah, I posted a video recently on my channel where I walk up and I see like these cops. They're all posing, right? They're acting like posers, and they're doing like a photo shoot out there. And there was 2 training officers out there, right? And when they were done, I didn't want to interrupt, with their little show, what they were doing. But as soon as they were done, I went up respectfully. I asked them some questions, and I said, "Can you guys tell me the 5 fundamental freedoms of the First Amendment?" And I shout out to you. This is a public service who made my question to cops, better. And so you took something from me. I took something from you. We sharing our knowledge on this community. This is why this community is amazing, because we all learn from each other, right?
Big shout out to this as a public service.
Yeah, I love that dude, man.
Foshin the Good. I actually used his dialogue that he taught us with that one sheriff that I was telling you, Brad Whitehead. I asked him, if I ask you a question that by all rights you should know the answer to, and you don't, would you make a good faith effort to learn it?
Right.
The cop was like, no. And I said, check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, so it's
Foshin, man.
Yeah. And asking these questions to these cops, helps us understand more of what's going on, in policing in America. And what can I say, man? It's been a hell of a journey. What was I was going to mention something about Foshin. I forgot what I was going to say.
He's a fellow Rotarian. Rotary is service club. It's one of the oldest service clubs. It's the only one that has a seat at the UN besides the Red Cross. I don't know how I feel about that. But I do know that it is all about service above self. And a lot of people are selfish in service. They're just trying to enhance their professional image. Like that sheriff that I was telling you. He's also in Rotary, but he had no idea what I was talking about when I told him the four-way test. And this is something that you'll find in every Walgreens manager's office too. The four-way test comes from Rotary, and it's of the things that we think, say, and do. Number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number four, is it beneficial to all concerned? And if you think about those four questions before you think, say, or do anything, you'll be all right.
Yeah, and I remembered what I was gonna say is the video that I had done recently. I walked up to these two training officers and I asked them if they knew the fundamental freedoms of the First Amendment, and they didn't know it. And I feel like that is probably one of my most important videos. And all you auditors out there, everybody that has a channel, feel free to share it. Feel free to share it far and wide, because I believe that that video is a powerful video, because it shows that even the training officers that we have out there don't even know what the fundamental rights of the people are. And so what are they training cops in? Brute force and compliance, but nothing about the people's natural rights, nothing about the First Amendment, which is freedom of speech, press, religion, assembly, and petition your government for redress of grievances. I can say these things like this because I understand how important it is to me. And all of you guys that are watching this right now, you guys should get empowered. Subscribe, hit the bell to my channel, Rice Crispy. I'll drop the links in there as well. Subscribe and watch the videos. You will be empowered, and you will know what to say to cops. I've had so many people send me so many videos. I'm about to share one right now where a guy emailed me, and he said if it wasn't for your channel, the cops would not have let me go. I wouldn't have known what to say. And so what can I say, folks? I do my best. I'm not even that smart, but I know some of these natural rights and how important they are to me. Sometimes I talk and people think that I'm really smart, but it's not that. It's just that I know what my fundamental rights are and how to use them. You guys can do it too. Always record the police. Know what your fundamental rights are. Don't talk to cops. Don't open your doors to police. Know what like I say, know what your rights are. You will learn a lot if you binge watch our channels, man. Any last thing you want to say?
Tell them to come back with a warrant. I do want to
Hell
show
yeah.
them this view. Let's show them the
Go
view.
ahead. Grab. Go ahead.
Let's do this. We are staying in this awesome Airbnb, and how do you switch?
Just do it like that.
Okay.
I don't think you can switch after recording.
Look at this. This is where we're staying. There's Joaquin Jr. out there taking care of business.
Yeah, shout out to Joaquin Jr. Make sure you guys go subscribe to him as well. And Nate Skates, who wanted to come, but he had to stay home and take care of the family, take care of the dogs. And yeah, shout out to my son Nicky as well, man. My boys, we all kind of do this as well. And man, who knows? Maybe when Rice Krispy's son gets a little bigger, who knows? Maybe we'll have a channel as well, right?
Right on. Yeah. I hope he's doing unboxing stuff.
Yeah, right.
I hope we don't need to still be doing this by that time.
Yeah. But man, thank you guys so much, bro. Thank you for all your friendship and your support. Thank you guys, all my supporters out there, all his supporters, all of our supporters, the supporters of the First Amendment auditing community. Thank you guys. This community just keeps growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And remember, folks, those auditors out there that are doing private businesses and stuff like that, they're not auditors, man. They might want to call themselves auditors. They're more along the line. To me, I like to call them average Joe paparazzi, because they're just doing paparazzi work on average Joes. Motherfuckers ain't even famous and shit, and they're just scarfing down the damn sandwich. I mean, try on the guy's socks, man. Go inside the store and buy some socks and wear them. Who cares if you don't get 400,000 views on a video where you're, educating someone? So you mean to tell me you're doing this for the views and not for the education?
And if you pick up a camera and you start doing this, you don't feel obligated to have to educate anybody. You could get a banger video just by doing a silent audit. Don't say a word. Just go to where there's government happening and record them, and you'll see they'll be the stars of their own show. So silent audits are I'm incapable of being silent. I can't
Me
do
too.
it.
I'm always doing this, man. I gotta talk.
Please give it a shot.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Don't let us do this alone.
All right, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.